Hi, and welcome to CoupleTales.life, the colorful shades of grey. Tonight, we've got a very special request from a subscriber who's in a relationship which I think is toxic at some levels. What's fascinating about this and why is the fact that one partner enjoys freedom to do whatever he or she would want to, while the other does not have, forget any freedom, but does not even have the liberty to mingle with friends, platonic friends of the opposite sex. Now, while initially, you give in or whatever into the relationship, but over a period of time, what does it really lead to? So it's a very lopsided, so to speak. So today we're going to discuss about this and see where it goes and if it opens up, some aspects or insights. So, Geetu, I find this, because in a relationship, and I remember you always say, "Tali hamesha do haath se bajti," it takes two to tango. Then how does one put up with this, and for how much? Where probably you are at the receiving end, so to speak, for lack of any other term, whereas one person enjoys total freedom to do whatever he or she deems fit. So how does it really work, and how long do you think it can go on?
I don't know. But having said that, I think there was a very interesting line this person had, this subscriber has used in her question, and that is, how much is enough in a relationship? And actually that line was what was very fascinating for me. Because it's a question, if you actually ask this question, how much is enough, you've lost your battle there. Because nothing is enough in a relationship.
Yeah.
Relationships are very dynamic, and what I mean by dynamic is that they are ever changing, they're ever challenging, they're ever growing. So you cannot say how much is enough. How can you say how much is enough in an environment where everything is changing all the time?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it is a dynamic process. So that is one thing I want to really clear, that if you're in a relationship where you're saying this is enough, then it's enough only for that particular situation. Your breaking point has reached for that particular situation, but as a relationship, nothing is enough. It's just something that you have to nurture, that you have to invest in, that you have to grow in.
Yeah.
So it's a dynamic process. Now coming to the question that you asked, so now I'm just clarifying that when I say how much is enough in a relationship, now we are coming specifically to that point where, in that imbalanced relationship of one spouse getting all the freedom, the other one doesn't get the freedom. Well, here, Vivek, see, the thing is, you and I cannot judge this at all, okay? But what one can do over here is, it's a good question to ask yourself, how much is enough in this case? Because it is related to your own self-respect, it is related to your own self-worthiness, it is related to how it's harming you. So in this case, like I always say, that I don't really make it about the other person. So the subscriber who has asked this question is, it's good to evaluate and say, where has this come from?
Okay.
What has she contributed from her side? What is it that she has communicated? Is it helplessness? Is it dependency? Is it her own, like when I do therapy, a lot of times it's a strong word to use. And I'm now not talking about the subscriber, I'm talking about general stuff. And that is, it is about, when I say self-worthiness, a lot of people believe that I deserve this. That's how it is, right? Like when you're in a relationship which is typically abusive, that's one of the things that, I kind of deserve this, or I come from a place where I can't leave, and then you're taking that person through saying that, why can't you take a call, or like, don't you think it's enough now, etc., etc. So the thing is that this person actually, if this person goes to the point where she evaluates her own self, where she's allowed somebody to have so much of power over her, choice may not be easy. It is not easy. It may not be pleasant. It may not be something which conventionally seem like harm conventionally, like it's not harming her right now. But these are experiences which are very slowly eroding intangible things which are extremely precious.
You know, Geetu, now that you mentioned this, that over a period of time, now, so that means, see, it's like the last straw on the camel's back, right? Because it doesn't happen one fine day you suddenly get up and say that, what's really happened to me, and you know, how much should I be, or I've been taking this for so long. So is there, if we were to step back a little bit and say that when it starts off, at that point of time, only do you set a boundary, or you know, how does it really work? Because see, in a relationship, let's face it, all of us are very giving. Initially, we want to do everything possible and be extremely giving. Do you realize that somebody's given to a point of fault? You know, so isn't there something that we can set so it doesn't reach that situation?
Absolutely, and that's why Vivek, a lot of times I actually don't generalize and say all of us. I never say that. I always say, you know, me, or I do this, because I can only speak about myself, right?
Correct.
So
yeah.
that's what I meant when I said this person needs to go back and just see where is it that this was allowed, where is it that she became okay tolerating, why is she in this relationship, what is keeping her in this relationship, why is it, because you know, I also remember saying that, right, like this same subscriber has actually said that there's nothing, I know there's nothing left in this relationship, there's not even
A
the
dialogue.
basic communication.
Yeah.
So then, you know, then I just want to pose a question and say, what is keeping you there? I will not ask why are you in this relationship, because that takes you in a different direction. But I will ask, what is it that is keeping you in this relationship? Because they're two, you know, they sound like, oh, it's the same, but they aren't. When you answer them is when you realize how different they are. So that is what it is. You know, one needs to constantly, so when you're saying that when it's setting, you set boundaries and all, absolutely, because who's going to decide your boundaries?
Correct.
You're going to decide your boundaries, right? So
True.
something that may seem extremely wrong to society or to close friends because you've been a certain way, in that moment, I have said, no, I don't want to take that decision. And then I commit to it, because I'm so, you know, it's important to know yourself well enough, because a lot of things you understand because you know yourself, right? So I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I would like to bring it over here that, you know, give like 4 hours in a week, not even in a day, to do stuff which is very nurturing to yourself, which takes you on a path of understanding who you are. What are you? What are your habits? Are you growing? Because you know that is something which we underestimate so much. But then when we reach situations like this person, I can completely understand how lost, how helpless, how powerless she's feeling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's very, very daunting, because she must be thinking that, is this what my life is going to be?
Yeah.
Is this the compromise that I'm going to live with?
Yeah.
So these situations are very difficult, right, to live with.
So I'm going to add another layer to this, or just turn it around, or flip it, so to speak, to some extent. Is do you think, and I'm just speculating, that sometimes after a few years in any relationship, it becomes like a habit? So I'm just there in it because it's like a habit, you know, or that feeling creeps in that I can't visualize a life but this, till it reaches a point where you say, okay, it's gone downhill to this extent that now if I don't, then it could destroy one of us, really. So is that also a possibility? I'm just toying with the
No,
idea.
I'm listening to you, and I am not. Actually, I don't know how applicable it is in this.
In this
situation.
scenario, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because this is not about a relationship per se. This is
Yeah.
about a toxic relationship.
Yes.
And that boundary, you know, and the thing is also I understand with my work that this person, when we are outside of the relationship, it's very easy to be objective.
Yeah.
And this person, it's not easy for her to take the call because nobody is wanting to suffer like this person.
Yes.
But you know what, if I just feel, especially the part that you said that one person has all the freedom and the other person seems to be caged. You know, the like I said, the thing is that person is taking all the freedom. This person has to just figure out who is caging her. Right now, she's thinking that the person in her life is caging her. And
That's
I'm
not
saying
true.
first, figure out what in you is caging you. First,
Yeah.
break that cage. When you break that cage, you will automatically understand, and it will be easier for you to break the cage that he or she in that relationship has built around it.
Yeah.
But it's very important for her to first understand what is the cage that she has built around herself.
Yeah.
Right? And those cages in her, see, because we're taking her example, this is the cage that she has built. But you know what? It's such an interesting concept of this cage. I would also like to tell people that, you know what? Sit and spend 15 minutes and think about what are the cages that you have built around yourself. The cages of stubbornness,
Yes.
the cages of rigidity, the cages of judgment, the cages of, like, you know, when somebody is like finding a partner, for instance. What are the cages that you've built? What are those cages that I will know?
Yeah.
I want this, I want this, I want this. Is it a cage? Is it something? And you know what? Gradually, I want to thank this subscriber because we have actually, through her, touched upon something which is so beautiful. And I really want to leave you with this. You know, what is your cage? And what is that
Yeah.
cage that you need to break? And do this. And there is not only one cage, because with growth,
Yeah.
we also build new cages all the time. So it's a good exercise, right? That
Yeah.
what are the cages that we built around us? And first break those cages so that you also identify, right? That is
Yeah.
somebody caging me?
Yeah. You know, from what you're saying, it's also just a thought,
Yes.
if I may, is that, and it has nothing to do, when you say what is caging me, one, it can transcend all age groups, yeah, because you can be rigid or cage
Absolutely.
yourself at any age, or it can be not necessarily in a relationship, but even
Yes.
individually,
Absolutely.
you know, so,
Absolutely. At work.
Yeah.
At your boss, you know, when my boss talks like this, I get triggered. It's all what have I caged myself into?
yeah,
You know, and I hope that this subscriber, you know, thinks this is useful when I tell you that, you know, look at the cage. First, break your cage. That is going to give you strength, courage, and power to break the other person's cage. So it's very, and like you said, Vivek, it's not restricted to just, it's how I treat my own self is a
Yes.
cage. How I treat my work is a cage.
Yeah.
You know, see, philosophically, this is what it is ना, हम तो ये जेल ही तोड़ने आए हैं. We
Yeah.
have to keep breaking ourselves and giving ourselves that rebirth to.
which is a nice way when you put the cage. I think that the way you articulate it, I love the term that you use, cage, in
Yeah.
this whole thing, because you started and somewhere before that you mentioned that what is keeping you in
Yes.
it, rather than asking the other way around.
Yes.
What is keeping you? So
You.
cage
Yes.
is such a simplistic
Yes.
term, really, to analogy to do. So
yeah, because like I said, the question is what is keeping you in there, not
Yeah.
why
Are
are
you
you
in
this
there?
relationship.
Yeah.
So,
I think that was some great insights, and I'm sure it is going to make all of us think,
yeah.
not
Sorry,
just the
Vivek,
subscribe. Sure.
you know, because these two questions, I'm finding them very fascinating.
Sure.
Now, I just want to add one thing. When I say what is the difference, why am I in this relationship, is a very external.
So you're
way
stepping
of
back and
analogy.
then looking at it.
But
yeah.
when I say what is keeping me in this relationship, all the words that I always use, like accountability, taking responsibility, seeing what have I done, that is what comes in with this question.
Yeah.
So, you know, even the way you question, even the way you speak to yourself, even the way, this is a practice.
Yeah.
So,
That's the other thing. So it's a practice. It is an ongoing process.
Ongoing process.
So I hope we've been able to, break some ground here, and do like, share and subscribe to our channel, which is coupletales.life, the colorful shades of grey. And don't forget to click on the bell icon so that you know about all our future episodes, because the kind of response that we're getting more and more, thank you so much, because that gives us so much fodder to think and ponder on. This is Vivek Kapoor.
And this is Geetu Purkaisa, actually wondering what is keeping me in this relationship. Please leave a comment. We'll appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.